Howdy folks! Welcome to TravyJsSpace here on YouTube. And welcome to another fun, exciting, thought-provoking episode of Let's Talk, where we just talk. No games, no distractions, no problem. So let's get into it. Today's topic is actually a big one. For me, I'm still kind of reeling off of it right now. And I'm kind of still processing my thoughts about it. Overall, though, I am very, very sad and disappointed and just a little frustrated, too. I feel a little defeated today, a little helpless, and I'll tell you why. Well, if you are a Sim fan, and have been keeping up with the Sims updates, not game updates, but just in general on their social media platforms and such, you would know that there was a live stream event today for something called like the Sims Summit or something like that, which was supposed to, somewhere in there, announce something new and exciting. And it was the only reason why I actually went to see what The Sims was up to. I'll let you know now, I have not played The Sims 4 since the release of Nifty Knitting Stuff Pack, which was, I think, 2 years ago now. I had every pack up until then, and the months leading up, I was already getting really fed up and really distraught over the idea that EA and Maxis had kind of changed their ways and their objectives and their goals, ambitions. Everything kind of seemed not so genuine and like them. I kind of felt like they were more attracted to the idea of money, generating more profit, and kind of just expanding in that sense, in a monetary sense, rather than doing the work or giving us what I felt like we deserved. So when Nifty Knitting came out, that was it for me. I thought, great, The Sims can knit now, but it didn't sit right with me that that game was just one game. So basically you can knit, there you go, pay however much it was. I kind of felt like there could have been a nice big pack that included knitting, you know, but maybe also included a more focused, detailed, dedicated elder life or a retirement center, or, you know, there could have been so much creative expansion there, and all for the same price, or maybe a bit more, that we could look forward to, get our hands on and go, oh my gosh, I won't be bored for months. But I found a growing trend, for me anyways, that every expansion, game pack, or stuff pack I got from The Sims 4 would easily just become so boring so quickly, and there just really wasn't enough gravitation there, or genuine interest, just because it didn't feel like there was much substance going on there. Now I know people can and will and do say that, you know, you can get custom content, you can modify your game, this and that, but I don't do that. I feel like the company should be honorable and noble and considerate, understanding, you know, and see these things and address these things. They should be the ones to, we shouldn't have to feel like we need to go to other places to make the game what we feel it should be. That should just be provided. And I felt like that was relevant for The Sims 1, Sims 2, Sims 3. And then when Sims 4 came around, I really felt a sense of disconnection there entirely, just from the familiarity, from all of it. So I'm going to read you guys something that I have set up here. I wrote on the on this live stream, I wrote a piece, or a comment, I guess, a piece. Like I'm a what do you call it, article creator or something, a publisher. But I did write a pretty lengthy comment on there because I was just really, really, really upset. I guess I still haven't told you why. I gave you a bit of a backstory as to my history with The Sims. I've been playing The Sims since I was in diapers. Maybe not diapers. I think I was like 4, 5 years old, playing The Sims on the PS2, and then of course The Sims busting out, The Sims 2 on console, the Herb Sims in the City. I played it night and day, and it never got old, never got sickening, it never got like redundant or repetitive. It was always so good. And, you know, when I got a little older and I could understand how to work a computer, I got the actual computer versions and thought, oh my gosh, what have I been missing? This is the real game, probably when I was like, you know, 9, 10, 11. So I instantly fell in love, and for me it was such a great outlet for me to just find peace and happiness and to kind of create an alternative world where I could just pour out so much care and love and dedication, you know. And I noticed that there was a growing trend of this kind of comfort, genuine quirks and just charms of the game. There were so many fine details with every little thing your sim would do, more specifically in The Sims 2, which went on to win so many awards and break so many records with its sales, and that's all thanks to Will Wright. A lot of people I find don't remember or maybe just forget that he was the original Sims creator. He actually created the whole Sim series before The Sims, where there was like different simulator games. He had Sim Copter, Sim Golf, Sim Ant. There were so many, and they were very basic 90s PC games, but even those you could play for hours on end and always get a kick out of it or find something new going on that would excite you. So this man is truly a genius. He is the brilliance behind what The Sims was. I was gonna say is, but was. And then for Sims 3, he did, I think that's around the time he stepped away from the Sims franchise, which was really sad, disappointing. But he wanted to create Spore. That was his other project dream, and of course that went on to become classic, iconic, brilliant in its own respect and such. So yeah, it was a good, he left for good reasons and very honorable reasons, and created 2 huge series, and SimCity of course as well, that's another big one. And he passed it on to Ben Bell, who was the creator of The Sims 3, and he handled it well. We got so many new features. He really expanded on the idea of that same principle, traditions, feelings and emotions that you would receive from The Sims 1 and 2. He expanded on all that just brilliantly. He didn't cut anything out. He just progressed. He didn't go backwards. He just kept going. Especially with the open world and the more realistic characteristics, graphics and such, imagery. He killed it. And every expansion that came out, I can remember waiting. You know, they would announce it a month ahead of time, and every day at school or even coming home, that's all would be on my mind is, oh, I can't wait till it comes out. And then when it would, you would just, oh my gosh, you would feel so fulfilled for months. And then the next one would come out, and you know, another 4 months or 5 months later, and you wouldn't even realize it had been 4 or 5 months because you were still hooked on the details and the new aspects of that expansion or stuff pack. So I mean, they really nailed it on the head there, and the excitement, the anticipation, all of that kind of fun, jittery goodness was all still kind of incorporated in the series. And then The Sims 4 came around, which really upset me. Now, okay, I've got to read this because I'm going to just waste all my time telling you all this story. So now that we're up to The Sims 4, I'm kind of telling you just kind of my perception. I guess I know it's a kind of a collective feel when it comes to the Sims franchise, that, you know, 1 and 2 and 3 kind of had this similar sense of comfort and joy, simplicity, but with fine details that you would see in real life. A certain sense of humor and substance to it. A lot of very colorful, you know, and always with the times. Yeah, so, oh shoot, sorry, total brain crack there. Okay, so I'm just gonna read the comment I wrote. Yeah, so essentially, before I read though, I do need to let you know that in the Sims online, Sims Livestream Summit, I guess, I'm not sure what it was called, they made all kinds of announcements for The Sims 4 and such, which is still trailing on after 8 years, and basically talking about a lot of expansive ideas they're taking to move forward with the game, which to me just in one ear out the other, because I mean, it's been double the amount of time it usually takes for a Sims franchise or an installment of the franchise to kind of respectfully say, okay, you've had your time, we're gonna move on. People still love you, but we have to move on, and you know, and that's what kind of carries on the love. Sims 4 for me, it's like, it's just overkill at this point, and you'll understand more of how I feel when I read this too. But in this summit, near the end, they had a section where they talked about what can only be perceived as The Sims 5. They touched on it as the next generation of the Sims experience, this, that, and the other. Basically, though, what caught my ear was when they said that we have never shared a Sims game this early on in its development. We've basically just started, in other words. Mind blown, because in the 8 years I would have expected or hoped, and I've read certain tidbits of information from people on the team that have said The Sims 5 was already in production, not labeling it as The Sims 5, but saying that the next generation, looking in the future, saying that it is in development. All the rumors, of the EA Max's team, the Sims team trying to hire on new developmental artists and graphic designers and stuff of that nature, experimenting out overseas to Europe to find people that have certain specific skills so they could really enhance the next version. So all the expectation was there. So when I heard this from this lady, I think it was Lindsay Pearson, I was very shocked. And I laughed because I thought, you guys are just starting now? Huh? What gives? You're kidding, right? It was very disappointing. And then when she, there was just certain parts where she kept reiterating how long it'll be till then, kind of reiterating, Sims 4 ain't going anywhere right now. Hang tight. She would say things like, when it comes out many years from now, and saying, it's still a long time before there'll be more to share, and things of that nature. They also called it Project Rene. And I did like that analogy. They were saying that Rene reminds them of renewal, renaissance, restoration, words like that, which I can really respect and I appreciate. I thought that's pretty cool. However, it didn't deliver, I think, the impact that they thought it would, because I wasn't, Sims 5 is coming. Because they kept beating around so many bushes, because they kind of made it sound, she didn't really confirm it was going to be The Sims 5, but she kind of made it sound like it's a possible spin-off game for The Sims 4, because she did say they're working with The Sims 4 and Sims Mobile games to create this, whatever Project Rene is. So there's a possibility that it is not The Sims 5, which then even makes me more upset, because if they're just starting this project, does that mean then we have to wait till that comes out many years from now for The Sims 5 to start development? Confusion, So many bushes being beated around, and it's just very annoying, and I feel like it's very, it's kind of disrespectful, because, I'd always remember with the announcement, like the announcement of Sims 2, the announcement of Sims 3, I was too young for the announcement of Sims 1, way too young, but I remember those, and I remember them being very iconic moments, and very dedicated and thorough, and always just so exciting and exhilarating, and I don't know, I just feel like this was way off from where I thought, and many people, I guess, from the comments I saw, thought that the Sims franchise was in production with The Sims 5. Way off. So I'm going to read you what I commented. It would probably make sense if you go watch that aspect of it. I think it's like the second last section in the stream, where Lindsay Pearson talks about Project Rene. I've only watched that section because, like I said, I couldn't care less about The Sims 4. I've lost all hope, all faith. They're not getting another dollar of my money for games that I just feel like are just kind of redundant, pointless, or could be consolidated, Snowy Escape seasons, missed opportunity there, or maybe strategic opportunity to keep making more money. You paid double the amount for 2 games that could easily have been one, same price, $5 more, you know what I'm saying? Which they did in The Sims 3, World Adventures, for example, the first expansion pack, it was huge, so much content, so many new skills, so many things to do. It would take you months just to go through every new aspect of that game, or expansion rather. So I don't know, Sims 4 for me, you play it for a week and then a new expansion or stuff pack and you're like, I'm bored, man. What's going on? Alright, so here's my comment finally. And I didn't set the timer, oh well. I put long, detailed opinion in head, lol. I'm sorry. I laughed out loud. Quotations. We've never shared a new game years before its release, this early in development. You're telling me The Sims 5 or Project Rene hasn't been quietly and consciously developed any time in the last 8 years that The Sims 4 has been dragging on? Huge disappointment, ... I truly thought we'd be ushered into the next highly anticipated generation of the Sims franchise today, and we don't know. This Project Rene may not even be The Sims 5, but just a spin-off game. Talk about beating around so many bushes. Like I was saying, ... I haven't played The Sims 4 since Nifty Knitting because I refuse to keep throwing my money at EA for packs that, in my opinion, could easily be consolidated with other packs into one major pack. Brackets Seasons and Snowy Escape, just for one of many examples. Or like I was saying earlier, Nifty Knitting, you could have built a whole new expansion for, you know, elder living, senior care, retirement centers, retirement communities. So many missed opportunities. Canes, walkers, you know, like Sims 3 Generations, essentially. All of these new additions, like kits, all for $1 with what I feel like to be half-dedicated efforts and no sense of logical thought when keeping what The Sims 1 or 2, even 3, felt like, its charms and quirks, etc. The Sims 3 was the peak for me, even though that's where Will Wright, the OG Sims creator, stepped away from the franchise. They still nailed it and expanded beautifully and generously, graphics, details, customization, and beyond. But knowing The Sims 4 was always meant to be a Sims 3 online game, Project Olympus, we'll get into that, and built it as such, but reverted its purpose halfway through production to a new installment, The Sims 4, very hastily and rather lazily without updating any of its graphics or imagery, or expanding on any of its features, whilst including major features from the past, I might add, due to the failure of SimCity Online. They lost a lot of profit. Applying the pressure on them to get a game released ASAP, leaving it to feel underwhelming for its appearance for the time, very cartoony, limited in its features, no toddlers, pools, or Grim Reaper, as well as many more common details when launched. I remember that. I don't know if you remember that either, but I do, and I ain't gonna forget it ever. We were done bad, very dirty. We were done very dirty. Digressing from its previous predecessors, and overall feeling rushed and forced on us, I felt hesitant and disappointed in the franchise because it feels like that was their fault and didn't take the accountability and time to fix their mistake and maybe even start over entirely to give us something we deserved. There's nothing wrong with starting from scratch if the art you're creating isn't genuine and thoughtful. Very true. When all of these DLCs came out of the woodwork almost incessantly and unnecessarily with limited content, nothing like a Sims 3 add-on, it felt like they had their tail between their legs and guiltily just became distracted with making that money back. In other words, the era of EA becoming cash cows and the Sims franchise losing its charm, relatability, essence, nobility, and honor entirely. Again, these are just my opinions. I've been saying all of this for years now in comment sections, and it seems the only ones who share my opinions are now, like me, focusing all their attention on the development of Paralives and hoping for the best, even though their game style is very cartoony also, not particularly my preference, whilst replaying The Sims 1 and 2 and 3 and ignoring The Sims 4 completely. Yeah, I do want to add in there that it's kind of a shame. Like, I think Parallels would be great, and I'm really happy to see that just a small, I think like 6 or 8 creators are coming together to create their own life simulator out in Montreal, in Canada, where I'm from. I find it really awesome, just really cool, exciting, new. I find it really just commendable and honorable for them to kind of take up. I think they understood that a lot of Sim fans were frustrated with The Sims 4 and were just feeling the disconnection and said, you know what? There hasn't been another life simulator to compete with The Sims. We should do this. And the fact that, you know, they don't have a lot of money, they're not rich, they're not from a big company, they're just their own individual people trying to come together and create another alternative avenue for the frustrated fans, which I think is just the most beautiful thing. Forget the game, just the whole thought and the idea put forward to do something good and provide some kind of relief for the frustrated fans. Replaying the old installments, I think that's just such a beautiful, honorable, and just, lovely thing to do, and I love them all for that. But it is a disappointment and kind of a shame, really, that we have to be forced to turn to alternatives life simulators, which there isn't any of, and not until Paralives announced itself. And now there's another one coming out in production called Alter Life. You might want to look that up. That one looks good. I think it uses Unreal Engine, which is really intriguing and exciting. But yeah, I think it's just sad that we have to turn to that. That Sims is putting us in such a position where we feel we just want to step away entirely. That's not right, So anyways, I continue. Overall, I am very sad and disappointed. I thought maybe they'd finally announce The Sims 5, which I thought was tightly under wraps, being worked on for 8 years or so behind the scenes, until now with this announcement, and correct their mistakes and ignorance they made with Project Olympus, The Sims 4 tenfold, and put this growing community of angry and disappointed longtime Sim fans who are fed up back in their good graces with something hopeful and redeeming. I feel like they need to give Will Wright, OG creator, a call and humbly give him the opportunity to oversee the complete development and production of The Sims 5 and revert this franchise back to its roots, charms, warmth, and unique detailed brilliance. It may be the only hope, or the last hope. I truly believe that, and I've been saying that for years in the comment sections. Someone call Will Wright and tell him his baby is sick because, he created such an incredible franchise, an incredible game, and he took it to such great lengths, to such ambitious heights. And then, he went off to do Spore, which is great. And, the people he left in charge for the third installment did a fabulous job. I'm sure they made him very proud. But The Sims 4 was such a drop. It just, for me anyway, it just really felt like there was such a dramatic drop there, just with excitement, anticipation, satisfaction, validation, and all the other things I mentioned, the charms, warmth, unique detail, brilliance of it all. Just kind of was gone. So I really think that's their only hope. Lastly, I said, P.S. Those new features they had shown for Project Rene are very similar to Paralives. Go check it out if you haven't already. Pause this, watch that, come back. So you have it in your mind. Are very similar to Paralives. I'm referring to kind of changing the sizes of the bed, customizing certain parts of each piece of furniture, adding pillows and stuff. Very similar to Paralives. And if they're just now starting development and production when Paralives has been in development for 2+ years, do I sense piggybacking? Are we going to experience a lazy, hasty, rushed Sims 4 Project Olympus era all over again with no genuine or brand new authentic features? Giving the benefit of the doubt here and say not likely, but still a little suspicious. Not only that, but the graphics and style already do seem quite similar to The Sims 4. I understand it's early development, but still doesn't scream new or fresh to me at all. Which may lead me to believe this new project isn't The Sims 5, but just a Sims 4 spin-off. Which means The Sims 5 won't be around for even more years. Lovely. These long, detailed, and dedicated timelines I can understand from game studios like Bethesda with Elder Scrolls or Fallout installments, especially with Starfield that's come out recently. That's a whole new world they've introduced that had taken them 25 years to create and polish just for us fans. I was just being born when they decided to start making that game. Like, that's dedication, that's an honor, that's something to be proud of and to, show your appreciation for. But The Sims and Maxis has always been able to get the job done in the past, before The Sims 4, and respectfully and expectantly put each installment to rest after 4 years, with the next being ready to share. Which only leads me to believe the only two causes for their sense of unfamiliarity, shadiness, greediness, and unoriginality since 2014 is horrible management and leadership, and money-making goals without consideration for the franchise's genuine, authentic DNA and adored roots. End. That was my lengthy, winded comment in response to that really kind of light, undetailed, vague kind of announcement of this new project, Rene. again, I mentioned in there as well, we don't really know if it is a Sims 5. I mean, they never came out and just said this will be the next. They kept saying, you know, the future of the Sims, this and that, but they never said the next generation, or maybe they did, or just basically call it what it is, if it is, and just call it the Sims 5, you know, and tell us you're working on the Sims 5. Because up until now, I thought that they were very dedicatingly and privately behind the scenes putting together Sims 5 since about, I think, 2017 or 2018 was the first time, 2018 rather, that I heard production, rumors and talks of production going on, and some EA members, Sim members from that work on the Sims that came forward and kind of mentioned little bits and pieces here and there about the development being very real. So it's just very disappointing. It just feels like history is going to repeat itself. And if you guys don't know, I think I should make that clear as well, that the Sims 4 Olympus project I keep mentioning in my comment, for those of you who don't know, you could probably find many good videos on it detailing what it is, what it was. So basically, when The Sims 3 was still relevant, and they were still pumping out expansion packs, stuff packs, and content on the Sims 3 store, EA and Maxis decided to kind of jump into this new popularized online multiplayer world. And since the Sim City hadn't really had much of an expansion in a while, or a new installment, stuff like that, they decided to focus on two projects. They thought, okay, Sims 3 was very successful, Sim City was successful in the past, which, you know, Sims 3 came out after the last Sims 4 installment, I believe. Sim City installment, I mean, rather. But they decided to get ambitious and work on a Sims 3 online and a Sim City online, basically. The Sim City online would be totally online. I think there was elements of offline gameplay as well, but mainly meant to be a multiplayer kind of idea. So the Sim City came out, that installment of the game came out, and it tanked. It did not go well, unfortunately. Their profits were lost. I don't think they made much of a profit at all, which they had forked out a lot of money from the success of The Sims 3 to put into that project. It left them at quite a loss, and they realized that they might have jumped in a little too early to this whole online multiplayer world, which of course was a lot more popular later on, you know, 2015, 16, and so on. And 2014, I guess, just bits and pieces, but, you know, people were obviously for years console online gaming, but the PC world, that was something kind of just blossoming, I guess, still really in its early roots. And of course, with the Sims Online, the original Sims Online, that was out many years earlier, before online gaming to that extent was very relevant, they realized that maybe they could recreate and rehash out kind of the same effect, but with a modern installment. So since The Sims 3 was the relevant installment at the time, they decided to give a branched off, separate, totally online version for The Sims 3, which was Project Olympus. Now, when Project Olympus was starting, you can look up Sims 4 early development photos and stuff like that, and you'll see, or look up Project Olympus, I'm sure you get similar results, if not the same, that basically show a very online looking game when it comes to graphics, layout, the user interface and stuff like that, movements and stuff like that. It all seemed very underwhelming. It's something you would pull up on your old iPhone, like 6 or 5, 4 even, and be like, oh look, I'm playing The Sims. You know, it was that kind of technology, graphics. You know, they couldn't go heavy with the online, so it wasn't going to be Sims 3 graphics, but they found kind of a healthy medium, an agreeable medium, which was a little bit lower than, you know, where they want it to be, but that it would work online without much buffering or interruptions and stuff like that. So they did have to scale back in order to create a new Sims Online, which they did. However, halfway through production of the Sims Online that they were going to create, With SimCity had its tanking moment. They released, they launched, it did not get the hype or attention that they really thought would manifest. So they were forced to kind of settle their losses. They didn't do too many updates with the SimCity, but they lost a lot of money that they thought they were going to get. They were kind of still hyped up on the Sims 3 success, and at that time they were still pumping out, again, like I was saying, new DLCs, expansions, stuff packs for the Sims 3, which were selling like hotcakes, but they lost a lot of money. It set them back. So the creative team had to hastily come together and, what do we do with the Sims Online? I mean, if that failed, then this will probably fail too. I think we miscalculated, or we got ahead of ourselves. We're being too ambitious. So hastily and frantically, they decided to just cut their losses with the Sims 3 Online spin-off of the first Sims Online, and just repurpose everything they created for that into a new installment. So you can see where all the drawbacks, all of the underwhelming, kind of disappointing elements of The Sims 4 come from, is because it was never created with the initial intention of, okay, let's think big here. It's a new installment. We got to think bigger and better. Let's keep the Sims 3 open world, all of those features, but build off of that. Let's go bigger and better, because they knew it would be an offline game where they could load up the graphics. They could go to the highest extent of mechanics, you know, and graphics and just movements, colors, shading, all of that, right? So instead of scrapping the whole project, starting from scratch, and building this new, ambitious, expansive installment where they could really put all their big creative ideas together and get down to work, they just took the Sims 3 Online, Project Olympus, which is now the Sims 4, and said, okay, let's just roll with this. Let's just cut out the online element and start turning it into a base game. So it was like great value version. So you kind of see with the Sims 1, right? We know no different. Everyone loves it because it's new, it's exciting, it's fresh, and it was very revolutionary and quite iconic for the time. It was new. Sims 2, we see huge growth, right? In just 4 years' time, we see such an amazing new installment that it feels almost pretty much like a brand new game. But the additions to what The Sims 1 provided are tenfold, okay? So then we even see a step higher with The Sims 3. You know, now we're getting all the Sims 2 and 1 stuff, but even more. We're growing here. There's so much exciting new features and graphics and the open world. I mean, who cannot love that? There was such big growth there, and we were really heading up that hill. So then when they decided to turn Project Olympus, this online subpar version of any idea of what a next installment could be, they really went right down. Like there was nothing new, no new big features or additions to the Sims 3. They didn't take Sims 3, use it as their basis and go, okay, where can we add to this? Where can we make this bigger and better and crisper and cleaner and more detailed, etc. They really just dropped, because they already were starting down here. Sims 3 was up here. Project Olympus was already down here because it was set off from the get-go as an online game. So you got to cut out the graphics, details, open world maybe. You gotta sacrifice in order to get the goal you want. So they had to come from down here, and maybe they went a little bit higher, but they didn't even come close. So when the game launched in 2014, first of all, I want to say that the announcement was nothing like The Sims 2 or 3. It was very bland. It was very kind of rushed, put together. Just, here you go. You know, the trailers and the commercials and stuff for it were nothing like the last previous installments. It was just very simple cut, you know, here you go, and be on your way kind of thing. They didn't really produce any hype. They didn't get creative with their advertising. And even when we saw what the characters look like, you know, very cartoony. The graphics were, I felt like anyways, a step behind from The Sims 3. And when they were trying to get closer to that realistic approach, especially with Unreal Engine and all this stuff that was kind of blooming at the time. They had a lot of opportunities and decided just to ignore them all to pump out this game last minute to make up for their losses. So when it came out, and I remember I had a countdown on my Origin, and they had actually gifted me, a few of us, my good friend Jessica, we both were given into our Origin libraries a free Create a Sim demo for being like loyal Sims 3 website users. We had taken the time to put all our serial codes for all of our games on the website to show, you know, we have them all and we've purchased. It showed what you've purchased in their store. We had purchased so much. So they said, here's the Create a Sim for Sims 4. It's just a demo. Tell us what you think. And it was fun for 5 minutes. But I remember being on the phone with Jess and saying, you know, it's kind of cartoony, like it doesn't feel new, it doesn't feel fresh, it doesn't feel evolved, you know, or anything. I mean, they distracted us well with the customization of just grabbing and pulling and, you know, from the hips, the waist, everything in between you could kind of screw around with, but that just kind of felt minor compared to the graphics and stuff, the actual person we were customizing. It just didn't feel right. And then of course when it launched, I was so disappointed. I waited till it was up to 10 minutes and I waited and waited and I played it. And again, I'll never forget the disappointment. But I was trying to just accept the losses, benefit of the doubt, to see, you know, maybe the expansions will be different, maybe updates will change. Never came around. But that first day, no Grim Reaper, no pools, no toddler age group, no open world, no, there was a few other things. I don't think you could hire a maid or something, or pizza or something like that on the phone you couldn't do. There was a few things that were pretty standard in previous installments, essentially, was what I'm trying to say, that were completely missing from the new installment. In fact, there was nothing bigger or better than some of those commodities from previous installments either. So they really they did us dirty, and I'll never forget that. I have not forgotten how they threw that at us and just accepted us to swallow it and continue eating our dinner. It's not okay, you know, and I guess as one of those agitated, rather angry Sim fans that are kind of like, come on, let's just forget this ever happened and move on to Sims 5. Let's hope and see that maybe you will make up for this, you know. For someone who's that person, it was very frustrating today to see that all those hopes and dreams have kind of just been crushed, you know. And really, if this new installment that they're creating, Project Rene, is The Sims 5, again, there's nothing really exciting that's drawing me into that personally. I just really hope they do that, because Sims 4 for me, it's just been this constant. I mean, to think too, if you compare it, now this is an interesting point I always like to bring up, with The Sims 3, right? You look at expansion pack, stuff pack releases, and keep in mind there was only 2 types of DLCs for The Sims 2 and 1, right? Stuffs and expansions. They released them in reasonable time periods, but enough time that you would build a sense of anticipation. You know, you get anxious and just itching to get your hands on it, and the wait we had to wait. That's just something, I guess, that's not really relevant in this new day and age either, is waiting. Everything's now, click done, tap here, da-da-da-da-da. So, I don't know, maybe that's with the changing of the times, but I felt like we were forced to wait patiently and to dream and wonder, mystery. You know, we had one trailer of the game, but we would rewatch it over and over and over. Did I miss any details? Oh, I can't wait to see how that all pans out, and da-da-da. With Sims 4, you know, you went from having expansion packs and stuff packs to game packs, kits. I feel like there was something else too. But now you got 2 more avenues of profit and revenue, money coming in for packs that could have all been consolidated, right? I think the whole reason of having an expansion and a stuff pack was to keep it simple. Expansion, a new world, maybe a few new worlds, a whole new career option, skills, deeper integrated parts of the game, as well as clothing and all the other aspects, you know, and social interactions, etc. Stuff packs were always meant to just be stuff. but you got a lot of stuff, like a lot of stuff. And some of that stuff was new interactable objects, you know, like maybe a new instrument or a new appliance that requires new interactions and stuff, you know. So with kits and world packs or game packs, I didn't understand what they were doing. I feel like everyone was so quick to jump on the bandwagon and say, oh my god, you know, and how frequently all of those would come out. For me, I got a bad gut feeling. I felt like I was being made a fool, and I couldn't stand for it. But I did. I succumbed to it for a couple years anyways, 5, 6, I'd say about 3 or 4 years. And then after that, I was really anticipating a Sims 5. I was kind of just tolerating and accepting it, and still forking out my money. But it wasn't really until just before COVID that I thought, okay, now it's been like 6, 7 years since The Sims 4. Like, are we gonna move on? Or 5 or 6 years? Are we gonna move on here? Are we gonna, you know, carry on with The Sims and just put this to rest and move on and just accept it and, you know, build new hype? Nothing, you know. And then the years leading up to today, between then and now, is, I guess, now just been a waste of all of my time and hopes and dreams, because yeah, they're just starting development of whatever this game is. And if it is a Sims 5, we've got many years before it'll come out, you know. I mean, I guess if you want to ballpark it, practically, I would say, pragmatically, I would kind of just throw out there that it would take 4 years, 5 years at most to build a new installment. It usually takes 4 years between each installment of The Sims anyways. But, you know, granting that extra year, we might not see another Sim installment for 4, 5, 6, 2027, you know? That's 10, 11, 12, 13 years after The Sims 4's release. It's really, like, unacceptable. That's the word that comes to mind for me, the way I feel about it. I just think it's just getting silly now, and, you know, I'm really sad to say that I've kind of come to this conclusion in my mind and heart that the Sims franchise is coming to an end. And I hate to say that, but without Will Wright, actually I should say, if Will Wright, by the grace of the gods above that oversee all that is good and all of the universe and everything else, the whole idea of law of attraction and all of that, if Will Wright were to, by these means, somehow be re-included, or he forcefully puts himself back in that position of taking control of the helm, the steering wheel of the boat, and produce, develop, oversee the entire production of The Sims 5, there may be hope. And I think there would be, because it's Will Wright. But I think they would need to humbly relinquish all control and direction to Will Wright, because he is the creator. He's the father. He's the godfather. He is the father of The Sims. He's our Sims daddy. He's the reason why we love The Sims so much. He made it. He created it. You know, and actually, fun fact, he created The Sims because he had just recently, back in 98, 97, 98, 99, somewhere around there, he had lost his entire family home and all of its memories and possessions in a fire. He lost everything he had, and he had to rebuild from scratch with his family. And for him, building The Sims was kind of projected off of that experience in his life, that, you know, I had to rebuild. Well, what if people could go on the computer and build or rebuild in a virtual sense? You know, what happiness that could bring people. Now, he also made it because he noticed how in Sim City you would see a lot of the little Sims going around in that, and he always thought, what are their lives like, you know? So it was a combination of the two, I believe. You know, definitely check that out though, read up on that, because I do remember reading that somewhere along the years of being a Sims fan. But between those two ideas, he had a genuine thought and a genuine idea that was given to him from above to just create this incredible franchise. So if it's going to succeed and it's going to carry on any further and not be tarnished in its legacy, which I would just be heartbroken to see, Bring Will Wright back, please. Let's tweet at him. Let's flood his email. Let's get in contact with his PR or his manager, whoever it is, and just really express our concerns and our devastating projections of what might come if he doesn't intervene, because something's got to be done. Something's got to give here, you know. And I don't know what he's doing these days, or for the past few years rather, but you know, I think it's just time that they bring back the expert and redirect this ship back to calm waters, because they are just swishing and swashing in these giant waves and thunderstorms, and one more, you know, wrong move and that ship's just gonna sink, man. And then we'll all be anticipating Paralives, and then we'll all be playing Paralives, and you know, and Ultra Life or whatever that other life sim coming out is. But yeah, so anyways, that's all I basically have to say about that. I've doubled the time I was going to share this all in. I was going to keep it maybe at 20-minute cap, but it's been about 46 minutes now. But I'm very passionate about this, and I have been for a few years, and I feel like I haven't expressed it in great detail to certain extents on a permanent platform. You know, I've commented on a lot of videos, especially at the length I did today, and you know, never really got a lot of positive or validating confirmation, or you know, people that related or understood with me until recently. I've noticed the past couple of years now that people have are starting to see it more from this light, from this angle, and kind of seeing the truth in front of them, and it's just saying, what? As if, you know, it all makes sense now. But yeah, I just, now that this announcement's come out, I feel like I'm just at my wit's end with the whole idea of the Sims franchise and its future. So let's pray, hope, fellow Sim fans, that Project Rene is going to pan out and shock us all with some crazy graphics and open worlds and all that other good stuff the Sims 3 provided that they cut out for the Sims 4, you know, and a lot of new additions that we weren't expecting and stuff, and just growth. I want to see growth. I want to see a makeup for the Sims 4. I want to see humbleness. I just want to see humility happen, where they can reinstate their nobility and honor, you know, because right now as a Sim fan, I don't feel very respected. I don't feel like we've been very respected or considered, I guess. And I know they go way out the woodworks to do the whole she, them, he, her, pronouns, genders, all of that new age woke stuff, but not gonna cut it. You know, again, it just feels like another distraction. It just feels like, and sure, a lot of people would argue that those are things that should have been, and about time, you know, things like that, and I would have to agree to some extent, but again, it doesn't just label you as this crazy new exciting. It's not there. It's just not there for me, anyways. And if you agree, then I'd like to hear what your take is on it below, and if you don't agree, then tell me what your perception is. Any perceptions. I want to know how you're thinking, feeling, seeing this, you know. I feel like that's really important to kind of hear around and share, discuss. So please use the comments below to get into it in detail. Leave lengthy comments. I would love to read them. Again, if you agree, don't agree, you're impartial to my whole rant and rave here today, my argument. Yeah, all are welcome, and all will be read unless this goes viral. Please don't let it go viral, please. Just get to the fans that really need to hear it. So yeah, thank you guys so very much for watching. I appreciate you all very, very much, and I love you all very much, and I'm really happy that we can share this experience together to communicate and discuss a whole slew of different various topics, and whatever goes, flows. So, you know, if you do have a suggestion for a future topic in another episode of Let's Talk, please, like I said, everything and anything is welcome. Drop it below. and I'll definitely take it into consideration. I will likely just throw it right on the Let's Talk itinerary right away. You don't even have to sell it to me. Just give me a topic, we'll go from there. Or if it is a topic I don't really know about, I may have to ask if there's something relevant going on within the topic so that I can read it up and then have an opinion and then talk about your opinion as well. So yeah, thank you guys so much, and thanks for being a part of this awesome series for 10 years now. Whoa, 10 years of Let's Talk, and thank you. I'm very grateful. Pleasure is all mine. And once again, love you all. But it's time to say goodbye. There. It's all out. All out. Toodles for now. Ta-ta. Ciao. Till next time. Howdy, folks. Did you like that video? Well, then why don't you go ahead and give that thumbs up a smackaroo. Don't want to miss out on the next episode? Give the subscribe button some love, and make sure to turn your notifications on. That way I can give you a bell ring, let you know dinner is served. Still need more to chew on? Take a bite of my new YouTube Instagram account at TravyJsSpace to keep up to date with the channel's inner workings and news of upcoming projects and episodes. Thanks for watching. See you next time.